Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today I welcome Meals on Wheels Orange County CEO Holly Hagler. Holly also serves on the Leadership Council for the OC Strategic Plan for Aging, on the boards of directors for Meals on Wheels America and for Meals on Wheels California, and is co-chair of Partners at Home Network. Meals on Wheels Orange County has been the largest nonprofit senior nutrition and supportive service provider in Orange County, serving nearly 2 million meals to older adults annually, nearly double what they were serving pre-pandemic. Thank you, Holly, for being on Impact OC.
Don, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here talking about my favorite subject.
Well, Holly, please explain your organization's mission is to nourish the wellness, purpose, and dignity of older adults and their families.
Yes, absolutely. And because of that, we deliver programs and services that reduce hunger and improve wellness for older adults so they can live independently in the homes and communities they love, where they want to be.
And your organization leads with senior nutrition and supportive services.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, we serve over 2 million meals annually, and that's to 20,000 older adults. That's double what we were serving pre-pandemic. So we do that through Meals on Wheels, where we provide 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 5 days a week. They're nutritionally balanced, and they're designed to improve the health of seniors who have limited access to healthy foods. And the magic, the secret sauce, are the volunteers who bring that smile and the friendly chat to make sure that everything is okay. And occasionally during each year, it always happens, they may need to call the paramedics, or we contact family members if we uncover any concerns about their health and safety. And when I think about this program, I think about Shirley. Shirley is 90 years old, and she's been living independently in her mobile home for 20 years. And recently she joined our program, and what she tells us is that cooking is a lot of work, and she gets tired at 90 years young. And although she's always been a fan of eating healthy, it was food costs. The rising costs were an obstacle. As we all know, foods high in sugars and fats are the most inexpensive foods out there. So what she told us is that before Meals on Wheels, she was really living mostly on canned foods. And she did the best she could to avoid junk food, but it was hard. And now that she has the nutritious meals, she says her whole system is better than it's ever been, and she's not tempted to eat those other less nutritional foods.
So how does the meals get to the seniors?
We distribute the seniors through volunteers and other drivers who deliver them straight to the home. We actually partner. We distribute meals across 23 senior centers, and the volunteers go to the senior centers, pick up the meals, and then take them to the home. So they are that friendly person that knocks on the door, checks on them. Really, it's so much more than a meal, and that's what we always say, is it the meal or is it the visitor? And the reality, it's both nutrition and connection.
What kinds of foods are served?
We serve a varied menu, anything from lasagna to enchiladas to chef salads. Because we serve a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we always try to make sure there are fresh salads, carrot salads, tuna salads on the menu, as well as an entree and a nourishing breakfast.
How often do they get the meals?
We serve 3 meals a day, 5 days a week. And the volunteers bring them. It depends on the delivery schedule. So each person is on their own schedule. What we find is they really are waiting for that person to come to their home and bring that just package of love.
I understand you have a need for volunteers.
We absolutely do. When the pandemic hit, We had over 500 volunteers, and it just collapsed overnight, of course, because most of our volunteers were seniors. As a matter of fact, 80% of our volunteers were seniors. They love to help other seniors, and that dropped to 30%. So we have been building back the volunteers, but we have an immediate openings for over 30 volunteers in Central and North Orange County. We really are looking for them so we can get back to sort of that pre-pandemic norm.
How can people apply?
They can go to Meals on Wheels, oc.org, and just click volunteer.
What are the requirements?
They need to be an adult, and we look for a commitment maybe once a week, and it could be about 2 hours in that time frame. And really, they just need to care, really bring that care to the homes of seniors who need them. We do make sure that everyone is fully background checked for the safety of the seniors, of course. That goes without saying. And it's really about wanting to reach out and making a difference in the life of a homebound older adult.
So a volunteer will likely go to a senior center and have their assignment.
Usually they will pick up their meals at the senior center. They can sign up through us on our website, or they can go to their senior center and they can say, I'd like to volunteer for Meals on Wheels deliveries, and their senior centers will get them involved as well.
So when they go to the senior's home, what happens?
Well, during COVID, it was really knocking on the door, stepping back, delivering the meals in a bag, and having what we call a porch visit, a conversation. But pre-COVID, and we're starting to return to that, it's really having that visit. If the senior wants them to step into their home, put the meals in the refrigerator, we do ask the volunteers to do that. And just making sure that maybe looking around, making sure there's no safety concerns there, no tripping hazards. We want to hear if they have any concerns about the wellness of the person. So sometimes they might say, I fell over the weekend and now they're limping. We want to know that. We have case managers that we ask volunteers to call, and we will follow up with the older adults and their family members to let them know.
How can a person sign up to get a meal from a Meals on Wheels?
Meals on Wheels, oc.org.
And what are the requirements in order to get meals?
For the meals that we provide, because we put together various funding sources, we put together some government money, donations, grants. But because of that, it's available to anybody who's 60 years or older who is homebound, who is unable to shop or cook for themselves, or if their spouse is homebound, and they're the caregiver, then we'll provide both the husband and the wife the meals so that they can remain whole. We do have other lunch programs that we do. For instance, at the senior centers, we offer hot lunches as well, and that is a meal in a social setting. Of course, that was at all the senior centers before the pandemic, and we would have a lot of social activities, bands, and different things that would happen, and that is a meal and a social connection. And the beauty of that program, we call it the Lunch Cafe, is that it gets people up out of the house, get ready for the day, be there on time. They have an important place to be. Usually they'll find other ways to connect at the senior centers. They might start volunteering for our program. They might volunteer for other programs. So it's part of a continuum of care to keep people connected so they can continue to live in the community and in their homes, whether they're active and they're out getting engaged, visiting at the senior center or volunteering, or when they might need that support delivered to their home.
How do they register? Do they go online or do they have to go in person to get the services?
If they are going to the Lunch Cafe program, they just need to go to the senior center and ask about the Lunch Cafe. But all of our lunch programs are listed on our website, mealsonwheelsoc.org or mealsonwheelsorangecounty.org. So we have a list of those programs, and that's just sign up. And that program, where it's a social connection, anybody who's age 60 or over can go to that program. And if they are homebound and they want meals delivered to the home, then that would come through our website, or it could come through the senior center, because they will make sure that people get connected with the right resources.
Any costs involved for the senior receiving meals?
No, there is a voluntary donation that they can make if they are able to, and this is an important, it's considered a dignity donation. So it's available for donation, but there is no requirement. We do not track who donates. We do not know how much they are donating if they do. It's all confidential. And the idea is that many older adults, and particularly of this generation, we're still serving the greatest generation, right? They want to contribute. So it could be as little as 10 cents a meal. It could be a few dollars a meal that they donate. That contributes to help us serve more people, but we would never, ever turn anybody away because of donation. We put together the funding so that those meals are available for anybody who needs it, who's eligible for them.
Funding. We are able to put together federal funding that comes through what is called the Older Americans Act, very important act for this country. If you remember back in the 60s and the early 70s, when there were news reports of older adults, eating dog food because they couldn't get their protein any other. Do you remember that? I remember that as a kid. And, this is very poignant for me. And do you remember when the phrase shut-in was used? Convalescent hospitals.
Absolutely. That is why the Older Americans Act was passed, because we had to provide for the elders who provided for all of us as we were growing up. This is the generation that really helped us become who we are. So we also put together some state funding. Some of the cities provide funding. They all provide space in their senior centers at no cost, because they know how vital this program is. We do fundraising, and we write grants. We put together funding from multiple sources so that we can serve everybody who needs it. We are running a waiting list on our home delivered meals program. So we're serving about 1,100 people a day who receive the meals. And some people are on for long periods of time, other for short periods of time. So we're constantly refreshing who is able to participate in the meals. There is a need. There is a need also for donations from the community.
What's considered a long period of time?
We have had people on the program for 8 or 10 years, maybe more. Other people come on and they're just in a period where they need extra help. Maybe it's 8 months where they need that. And some people are quite ill when they start receiving the meals, so it extends their ability to live in the home before they may have to move to to a situation where they have greater care. So anything we can do to keep people in the homes where they are happiest is the most important thing. Surveys have shown that older adults, 85% of older adults want to live in their homes as they age. But we all know, we were talking earlier before we came on the air here, it's very, very difficult for people living on Social Security, on fixed incomes, do not have the means to pay rent. This is Orange County. Pay rent, pay their taxes, pay for the rising cost of food, transportation. And so the ability to receive meals, a well designed menu. We have a registered dietitian who designs our menus. Everything is low sodium, low carbohydrate. So it's cardiac and diabetic friendly, so that they can have the healthiest meals maybe that they've eaten in years. And Dawn, it's not uncommon when we start serving somebody that we see that maybe all they do have in their cupboard is the canned food I was talking about with Shirley, or crackers. Those are people who literally are just barely getting by, and we've been told over and over again, "You saved my life."
What is the demographic of the people receiving meals, would you say?
Yeah. So slightly more women who receive the meals. Women tend to outlive men. And about half of the older adults who receive the meals are white, and about, I would say, a third are Hispanic, and the balance would be Asian, Pacific Islander, and other ethnicities. And so we provide a menu that is diverse so that it can appeal to a variety of palates.
Do they get to choose?
No, at this point we don't. That's one of our goals for the future. But at this point, we do give feedback, that we do receive feedback. So everybody who gets the meals gets a comment card, too, that they can send in with their driver. And we read those comments, and we summarize them, and we look for the patterns. And so we put things on that they want and take things off that they're not liking. Of course, somebody else say, I really don't like the carrots. And somebody else will say, "I love carrots, give us more carrots." So that's always a bit of a challenge. But we really look at that. And I will say that our diabetic-friendly desserts are very popular. So that's always important. But we really like to get fresh fruits and vegetables to them in different salads or as a fruit on the side. All of that is taken into account when we design the menus.
What's the average age?
Average age is in the 80s. So these are people who need the meals. But some people, even in their late 60s, they have health conditions. Maybe they've had a debilitating disease that has impacted their mobility or crippling arthritis, and they can't lift their arms anymore to cook. Or they might be vision impaired and they're not able to drive or see. And as a matter of fact, we have served, I'm thinking of one participant that she was basically fully blind when we started serving her. And she would try to make meals and assemble them in her home, but she would come up with foods that didn't really meet her needs. And she was so grateful when she started receiving the meals. She said, "Finally, I can have delicious meals that I don't have to try to figure out how to put together." So can you imagine that, living there with nobody really to help you with that? And for so many people who receive these meals, that driver, that little visitor who comes to the door, may be the only person they see all week.
Who would you like to see be a volunteer?
I would like anybody who has a passion for helping people to be a volunteer. It only takes a couple of hours a week to make a difference in someone's life. So it could be, on your lunch break. It could be if somebody has a, time in the morning or the early afternoon. But somebody who genuinely cares, because I will tell you, it is those relationships that make a difference. And the volunteers tell us they get maybe more out of it than they think that even the seniors do.
Please explain how people can sign up to volunteer.
They can go to our website at Meals on Wheels OC, and they will be able to connect with us there.
Thank you, Meals on Wheels Orange County CEO Holly Hagler, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
Thank you, Dawn.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.